So thank you all very much for listening. As I mentioned in my little preamble earlier, my 1 minute, I do a lot of copywriting and content writing as part of my job. Even though it's not what I call myself, I do a lot of content and I use a lot of AI for some of my content. So this is called the power and the danger of using AI for content writing. So in less than a year, artificial intelligence has transformed the way that small businesses can create content. And with AI-powered tools such as ChatGPT, we can now generate high-quality content quickly and efficiently and, and in volume. There we go, right, we're off. Okay, so AI content can include things like blog posts, social media posts, product descriptions, adverts, emails, sales letters, even books. And this is on top of all the other things that it can do, like coding, producing charts, Excel formulas, calendars. The list is almost endless, but this talk is focusing on the production of marketing content. By using AI, we can automate routine tasks, we can repurpose existing content, and we can produce more new content in less time, and that frees up valuable resources. And this technology is allowing small businesses to create a consistent stream of valuable content for their customers, which is why AI is becoming an integral part of many content marketing strategies. However, that's not the whole story, because using unedited AI content can pose some significant risks to your business. So the output from tools like ChatGPT is not perfect by any means. And the biggest problem with it is it makes things up. Now, in the latest edition, which is ChatGPT 4, it carries a disclaimer, which I've highlighted at the bottom there. It says ChatGPT may produce inaccurate information about people, places, and facts. That sounds great, doesn't it? And here are a couple of news articles about that. So the one on the left, 2 US lawyers are fined for submitting fake court citations from ChatGPT. The 2 lawyers and their law firm were fined $5,000 for presenting fictitious legal citations which have been generated by AI when they were making arguments in an injury claim. The one on the right is another one. OpenAI, which is the company that makes ChatGPT, has been sued for defamation after a radio host in Georgia was accused of defrauding and embezzling funds from a non-profit organization, again, which ChatGPT completely made up. So if you're going to use ChatGPT, you need to fact check everything that you're unfamiliar with. Aside from the factual issues, AI can generate text, it lacks the ability to understand context and emotion, and unedited AI output can result in content that sounds generic, robotic even, and it lacks authenticity. And that is a problem because it will fail to resonate with your audience. And in fact, authenticity is kind of where this talk is going. So to maintain trust and credibility and genuine connection with your audience, it is crucial that if you're going to use AI, that you edit it and refine it to make it sound like you wrote it. And what happens if you, hang on, I missed a bit, sorry. What happens is that AI, although you think that it's a large, sort of huge labor-saving tool, it comes with a whole load more work. So I suggest that if you're using ChatGPT for content creation, it does around 50 to 60% of the work for you, but you still got to do the rest. So what happens if you don't edit or humanize your AI output? Well, you end up with something like this. And this came from LinkedIn last week, and I have blacked out the name of the organization. Some of you may know who it is, but I'm, saving a few blushes and what have you. So what's wrong with it? Well, first of all, I know who wrote this, and I know the company that they're writing it for, and they don't sound like this. It's not authentic. It doesn't ring true. And that's off-putting for people. We're a British audience. This is a British company writing, but the text is full of American spelling. It's full of emojis. Now, I don't know what ChatGPT thinks it's doing, but whenever you ask it to write LinkedIn posts, it stuffs loads of emojis into them. I think it confuses LinkedIn for Instagram. So I don't know anybody that writes like this on LinkedIn. And the biggest problem with it all is it's absolutely chock full of cliches. So if I ever see anything online that says, I'm going to be taking XX to the next level, or elevating something, or taking a deep dive into something, or improving your such and such game, or staying ahead of the curve, all that sort of stuff. These are all common ChatGPT business cliches, and I guarantee that once you start to spot them, you'll see them everywhere. I've even heard one on a radio ad recently, and I just go, okay, I got ChatGPT to write their script, which isn't great. So if you're going to use AI to write content, then how do we avoid this issue to ensure quality and authenticity? To create high quality content that resonates with the audience, it's essential we infuse it with a human touch. And by adding yours or your brand's identity and expertise and personality, you can ensure that your content reflects your authenticity and your values. And authenticity is really important for creating trust and maintaining trust. And a lot of that comes from using the right tone of voice. And from a consumer's perspective, the brand tone of voice is vitally important for several reasons. And I'm going to list 6, I think, here. So first of all, it creates familiarity. So when you maintain a consistent tone of voice, it becomes familiar and easy to recognize. It's a bit like when I knew the company that had written that stuff on LinkedIn, I knew that they'd not written a word of that text. And customers know what to expect when they read your content, which can increase their level of comfort. Authentic tone of voice helps to build trust. A consistent, authentic tone of voice signals that the brand is reliable, and this trust can extend as well as to you, but also to your products and services. It conveys your personality, which helps to attract customers who identify with that personality. So, for example, a fun, casual tone might appeal to a younger audience, whilst the more formal and professional tone would appeal to business clients or older customers. It enhances customer engagement. So the right tone of voice can make content more engaging and interesting to read. And this can help retain customers' attention and encourage them to interact more with your brand. And that could be by reading more of your blog post or subscribing to your newsletter, or even buying more from you. An authentic tone of voice also aids understanding. A tone of voice can help you convey your intended meaning more effectively. For instance, if you're going to use a playful tone of voice, that can signal that maybe your message shouldn't be taken entirely seriously, or if you've got a serious tone, that you want people to understand that it's important. Finally, an authentic tone of voice will differentiate you from your competitors, and this is really the most important one, because this is the essence of branding. A unique tone of voice can set you apart, and in a crowded marketplace, having a distinctive tone of voice can make you more memorable and more distinctive. So now we understand why we need to humanize the output from AI to match our tone of voice. Here are 8 tips to use when you come to edit AI content for your business. First one, you've got to understand your own tone of voice. So you have a clear understanding of what your tone of voice is. For example, are you formal or informal? Are you serious or humorous? That sort of thing. Once you've defined it, it's easier to adjust the AI text to fit your style. So if your brand voice is casual and friendly, you might change a sentence like the one on the left to the one on the right. Secondly, you change the words in there that AI has put in there that you wouldn't use. Words that don't fit in with your brand's language. So if you were a casual brand, you might say help instead of assist, or use instead of utilize. If your brand was more formal and sophisticated, you change what's on the left to something on the right, or vice versa, if you were to go the other way around. You need to modify the sentence structure. What that means is that complex sentence structures are often seen as more formal, whereas simple and direct sentences sound more casual. Same goes for paragraphs, actually. Long paragraphs tend to be seen as business-like, formal, important. Small, short paragraphs are more conversational. And depending on your brand's tone, you might need to break down sentences or combine sentences. You need to be consistent. Now, consistency is absolutely crucial in maintaining a tone of voice, and this applies to words, phrases, sentence structures, and even the punctuation that you use. And you'll notice throughout this that I've used a.i. throughout, because I want to be consistent. For example, another example is that a playful brand might use exclamation marks, slang, possibly even emojis in their text, while you wouldn't do if you were a formal company. You're probably more likely to stick to standard English. You need to consider your audience. So remember who you're talking to. You may want to use certain terms or references that your audience will understand or appreciate. So if your audience is young and tech savvy, you might change the one on the left to the one on the right, which is a little bit more hip and trendy, but it says the same thing, but in a different way. Important on this one, adjust the spelling to match your region. So ChatGPT uses American English, as we've seen in the LinkedIn example. However, we're all British, I think, and we're all marketing to a British audience. So you need to use British English, which has different spellings, colour for colour, etc., etc. So you change the sentence coming out of GPT on the left, program colorizes spelt incorrectly for us, you change it to how it's spelt on the right. And the same goes for vocabulary, because Americans use words differently to us. Cookie to biscuit, sidewalk to pavement, all that sort of thing. So you wouldn't say you can deliver cookies to your apartment, you could say we can deliver biscuits to your flat, for example. Finally, you need to add a bit of you. Now, particularly if yours is a personal brand, if you slip in personal references, stories or references, you will immediately humanize your own copy. And the little example there is actually the first 3 paragraphs from something on my blog, which I've got AI to write for me. I don't mind telling everybody that. However, the second paragraph I added because it kind of introduces who I am into the copy, and it humanizes it a bit more than it did before. So by paying attention to these details, you'll not only make your content more accessible and relatable to your audience, but you'll also strengthen your brand's authenticity and trustworthiness, and you won't sound like a robot. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions if we've got any time left?
I find that quite scary, Keith.
Why is that?
Just the whole idea of AI making shit up. I mean, there's already enough crap out there in the ether without people using another program to create even more. I mean, it's just...
Well, the thing is that people would create that stuff anyway, but they just haven't got the time. So now they've got a tool to enable them to create it a lot quicker. As you know, I've got another business, which is a garden design business. And I've started writing articles for the garden design business based on some keyword research that I did for their website. And I subscribed to another system, not ChatGPT, but another one. And basically you give it article titles, and it will even generate the article title for you if you want, but I've told it what I want to write about. You tell it the style you want to write in, you tell it how long you want the articles to be, and you tell it whether you want to use subheads or not. And it will create a complete article of 1,500 words for you. And I've done this now, probably a dozen different articles, but I still have to edit every one because they're not in our tone. As much as you can try and manage it to be as close to your tone as possible, you still got to edit them all.
So can you create a script then for, say, YouTube and voice it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Actually voice it, so you don't even...
Well, there are different AI systems that do different things, and you can create a script in one system and then port it over to another system, which will actually do a voiceover for you in a fake, humanized voice.
Wow.
And there are even some that will give you do like fake video with a pretend person as well.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I've not delved into it like that deeply, but just for copywriting, I've delved into it quite a lot.
That is frightening.
It is, and it is. In some ways, it's quite lazy because the kind of thing that I mentioned on that LinkedIn thing there, I know who wrote that, and I know that they spent quite a lot of time getting it to look like that, but it's not finished, and it just struck me as somebody that's got an eye for detail as being a bit like, oh, let's just get it out there. And it's a bit disappointing because I know that person's got high standards and it's just not quite right. So yeah, but I see so much stuff that's just literally pumped straight out. I saw one this morning on LinkedIn from a design company actually in the town where I live, and it was exactly the same template as the previous one. It was full of emojis. Nobody uses emojis on LinkedIn apart from ChatGPT. So it's odd, very odd.
I use emojis on LinkedIn.
Oh, there you go then.
There's always one.